Michelle No Hope Obama and George W. Bush back in the news. Apparently, George W. has fond affections for Big M, and he's not afraid to tell the world about it. That's what the internet is ablaze with. The internet is on fire with this blossoming romance that came out of nowhere. But did it really come out of nowhere? That's what I'd like to go over today. Was there any clues in the pictures from all the public events that they go to? Were there any clues that was to tell us of this blossoming romance that came out of nowhere? Well, I do believe there were many clues, even at the funeral for the 5 fallen officers. George Bush looked like he was under the influence of something, and he was just kissing and hugging and jumping up and down way too much. He was showing affection towards Big M even at the funeral. Barack even saw it. Even Barack understood what was going on. See, that's the beautiful thing about body language when it comes to men looking at women. It's very simple. This is going to be a very simple one. Even a 3rd grader could figure this one out. George Bush, when you look at the eye contact, he has hidden feelings for Michelle Obama. This is a fact. Looking back on it in hindsight, we now know that he tried to keep these feelings inside. But now that he's back on his medication, you see, George W. was extremely depressed for a while. He didn't really know it until Donald Trump's inauguration. And then when he saw pictures of himself, he knew that he was deeply depressed and he had to get back on his medications. He did. You see, it's not easy for a man his age to get that mojo back. Very easy to fall into depression. Sometimes you want to self-medicate. It was obvious when he was at the funeral and he was jumping up and down and he was dancing and he was kissing and he was all googly-eyed at Big M. It was obvious he was self-medicating back then. But he made such a damn fool out of himself in the public event that he had to cut off the sauce for a while. He had to, and then he got depressed. And he's been in a depression for a while. And it came to a tipping point at Trump's inauguration because Lord knows, these people, they hate Donald Trump. And the depression was overwhelming. When Donald Trump was sitting up there at the inauguration giving his speech, it was an overwhelming event. He had to go back, and he got back on his meds. And now he's looking for comfort. Just like when he was a little child and his mama used to give him hugs. Big M is now a substitute for that needed emotion. At this time in his life, he needs somebody to hug him and say, George, it's all going to be okay. I'm here. I'm supporting you, George. And George, as you can tell, these are powerful emotions here. When Big M touches him, this evokes the feeling of pleasure, immense pleasure. We now know, in hindsight, looking back at the photos, that George was extremely turned on by Big M. So it should surprise no one that George W. comes out and says, hey, I have strong feelings for Michelle. The human touch, what a strange thing. It's such a powerful tool. When you touch somebody in the right location, this evokes some pretty strong emotions, feelings of pleasure, pleasures that sometimes men cannot control. We always go back to that funeral where it looked like George Bush was out of control. He was self-medicating, but out came the truth. And the truth is he had hidden feelings for Michelle. He was trying to get that mojo back. And the truth is, when men get older, sometimes they try to medicate. They self-medicate, or they can go to the doctor, and there's other type of medication you can get. Either way, we're all trying to go back to our glory days. Trying to get that mojo back. But this is a two-way street here. This is not just about George W. You see, George W., he comes from a rich family, and he may think this is just about him. But no, this is a two-way street. And even though George W., it is apparent through the body language, the eye contact, that George W. does truly have feelings for Michelle. But since this is a two-way street, we have to take Big M's feelings into consideration. What does the body language tell us about Michelle? I believe it's simple. Michelle thinks of George W., and she even thinks of Barack as children. She's the mom. She's the mother figure, and all she's doing is trying to take care of her two little boys. You see, mothers can never lose that motherly instinct. And when a mother sees a child that's depressed and down, it's just natural for her to reach out, give that child a hug, a kiss, and say, it's going to be okay. Big M and her two little boys, her two little sensitive boys that she has to take care of, who just happen to be presidents.